Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome to our Tuesday night team call. Thank you guys all so much for coming. I am outside tonight, so hopefully, if you see a bear in the background, will you alert me? Because you never know what's going on with this wood situation. But we have some construction stuff going on in the house. So I'm gonna do this outside. And tonight we are talking about compliance. And this is not my favorite thing to talk about. I'd much rather talk to you guys about how amazing the products are and how amazing the company is and all that stuff, but it's super important. So we are going to talk about it. If you are new on this call and it's your first time hopping on, this is not like the average team call topic that we go over. We generally talk about like product training and how to share and going silver, adding people and all that, like really fun, exciting stuff. But today we're talking about compliance, which basically means like what you should and should not be saying on social media when you're talking about Plexus. The reason that we're talking about it is with coronavirus, COVID-19 and all that, there has been a lot of attention and spotlight on health companies and the claims that their ambassadors or people that promote the products have been making. And so Plexus has had to remind us all what their compliance policies are. So we got an email with just some basic like do's and don'ts, things you should say and not say. And that started a lot of conversation with our team and just like concern. So I just wanted to take tonight to just address that. I did do some research and I just have some thoughts for you guys. So we can have an open conversation too. So I'd love to hear your feedback. If you have questions, I'm certainly not the authority on compliance. Like this is all kind of new to me too, but I think it's going to help us step up our level of professionalism. And for those of you that are doing Plexus as a business, this is really important for you to know because we want to be compliant, right? We love the company, we love the products, and we grow our business and our team by sharing, but we want to do it in the right way. So if you got that email, you could read some of those do's and don'ts around social media, posting what you should and shouldn't say. I'm gonna like kind of summarize them and highlight a couple things for you. And this is an important topic because Plexus wants to cover themselves legally and also protect their ambassadors, which is us, right? They don't want us getting in trouble, and they certainly as a company don't want to get in trouble either. So that's why we're going through this. Most of us have broken the rules unintentionally, and I don't want you to panic or freak out. Realize that all of us are kind of learning through this together. So it's okay. If you have broken the rules, don't like go delete your Instagram. It's totally fine. We just want to, as leaders in the industry, work our businesses with professionalism and tact and make the changes that we need to make moving forward. Okay, so we're going to talk first about some do's and don'ts on social media. I'm going to start with the do's. These are things that are good to do. It is good to share on social media, right? Many of us have built our businesses, a large percentage of it by sharing on social media. Like it's how we reach people, it's how we talk about the products. So it is good. There is no problem with sharing on social media. You should do it. It is totally great to share what you're feeling and how Plexus has helped you without claiming that it has cured anything. Okay, so that's the key, is to share your story, but not say like, oh, this cured me of my Lyme's disease or it cured me of my diabetes. We need to be especially careful when we're sharing testimonies. We need to do this really tactfully and make sure that if you see a great testimony, like they can be so compelling and they're so wonderful that you want to share and share what the products have done for people. But if they are making claims that they've been cured, making these claims that we can't support, that's something that you shouldn't share. So you want to make sure the testimonies that you do share are phrased correctly. Hey, Melissa, could you mute yourself, hon?
I'm sorry. I put it on my
okay.
headphones and it just changed the audio. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I just get so easily distracted, but thank you so much. We will have conversation after, so you guys hang in there and I will try to answer any questions. So we're sharing testimonies tactfully. There's certain words that are like considered safe words that you can use in your posting. So you might want to jot these down. The safe words are help, support, healthy, maintain, wellness, and well-being. So I can say them again: help, support, healthy, maintain, wellness, and well-being. So those are really good to kind of keep in your mind. Instead of saying like, oh, this cured me of diabetes, to say this helps support my blood sugar balance. Now you took something that was non-compliant and you made it compliant. You're still sharing the same kind of information, but you're using those safe words that aren't making like a really strong claim. Plexus also encourages us to refer to general body systems. So for example, supports healthy glucose metabolism, or supports overall joint health, supports cognitive function, supports healthy bones, phrases like that, instead of saying like cures osteoporosis, you know, is preventing Alzheimer's, that kind of stuff. Okay, so stay away from like specific diseases and think about general body systems, okay, like your GI system, your glucose metabolism, your joint health. Those things are much safer to say. You can also just go to the website and the label of your products and look at the product claims that are on there. So if on your bag of Slim, it says helps support healthy glucose metabolism, that is something that you can say, right? Plexus is making the claim on the label, so you can make that same claim. So it's always safe to share what you see on the website and what you see on the package. Plexus has these shareable tools that they create for us in the virtual office that we can use. You want to use them with a disclaimer, and I'm going to give you guys the disclaimers in a sec. The other kind of tricky way around this is you can share product info and testimonies and stuff and just omit the word Plexus, right? Because then Plexus isn't liable. Sarah Flood did a great post today where she was sharing her story and she never said Plexus. I do this all the time. I'll just say like my supplements or my health routine or whatever. I'm just not saying Plexus specifically. And that's a little way to get around it. Because most likely people have been following you on social media. They know what you're talking about when you talk about your supplements or you talk about your health journey. But if you just don't say Plexus, then you're not linking those two things together in a way that it's going to get you in trouble. Okay. Another do, right? I'm going through all the do's, is to follow the diamonds, the diamond ambassadors that you may know of. I can send you a list of names of people that are great to follow. They are being watched very carefully by our compliance team. And so generally they're making really great compliant posts, because if they did a post that was not compliant, they would kind of get flagged and have to have it taken down. So follow the diamonds. I get a lot of good posting ideas from following diamonds and Plexus. And then you can just take that idea, be like, oh, I could customize that. I could, you know, work that into my story, and you can share something similar, but just make it your own. Do use the info from the shareables in the back office when creating your posts, and do go to the resource library. So if you go to your virtual office, you can click on the left-hand menu on resource library, and then policies and procedures. All of this info I'm sharing with you tonight is in those policies and procedures, okay? Like the do's and don't list. They even give you like, here's something you shouldn't say, but here's how you can phrase it correctly. And they'll go through like a couple different diseases, like don't say this, say this instead. So it's really helpful if you're not sure to check out those policies and procedures. I know it feels like nitty gritty, but it is important for us to be sharing in a compliant way. And don't feel like you're going to get fired from Plexus if you make a mistake on a post. It's happened to a few of us where Plexus will email us, their compliance team, and they'll say like, hey, you know, and they'll tell us what posts they're talking about. Could you please take this down? It wasn't compliant. It's not the end of the world. It happens. We just say, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Take it down. They're not going to fire us. It's fine. But we want to represent the company well, right? Like we love the company. We want to make sure we're not getting them in trouble. So these are why we're sharing these tips. Okay, so that's the do list, all the things that are great to do. Let's go through the don't list. What you don't want to do is make health-related claims that aren't backed by science. So we can't say that Plexus cures diabetes, right? We can't say that Plexus you know, cured me of my Lyme disease, even if it's a compelling testimony and even if it's true for you. Like there's things that I just want to post all over social media, but I can't because I can't scientifically back that up. There are certain things that Plexus has done third-party research on that we can share and say, and those are in those tools. But don't make health-related claims that aren't backed by science. Don't share testimonies that claim Plexus has cured someone. And in general, don't share a testimony if you don't know what products that person used. So we have this awesome resource in the Your Wellness community. It used to be called the Plexus Wellness Group, where there is like testimony after testimony. We can go in there and we can tag people, and you know, they can see what someone did and how it impacted them. Like that's great, and that's in a closed community. But don't take those testimonies and just share them with your whole social media audience, especially if you don't know what products they use. And I think you guys have run into this before where you'll share a testimony and someone's like, oh my gosh, I have all the same issues. What were they taking? And we're like, I don't know. And we're not connected to that person to go ask them. So if I'm sharing like Shannon's testimony, then that's great. I can make sure it's compliant and I can call Shannon up and be like, someone has back pain like you had. What products did you start with? So that's like a safe testimony to share as long as you do it in a compliant with the verbiage. But don't share a testimony if you can't contact that person and say, hey, what were you taking? And then there is a list of no-go words, right? So we had our safe words. Our no-go words that you want to avoid are disease, illness, cure, treat, repair, chronic. And I know we've all used those words, so we need to be a little more mindful of avoiding those words. So again, it's disease, illness, cure, treat, repair, chronic. So we have our safe words, we have our no-go words. Almost every post that you want to make where you're like, oh, it's not compliant, can just be reworded to be compliant. Okay, so we can like work through these things together. We're all learning this together. But I love what Plexus has on their in that virtual tools. I'm just going to read this to you. It says, Plexus products and efficacy claims are founded on science. This science can be explained, and the amazingly effective products can and must be promoted in a compliant manner. For example, our dietary supplement products must be promoted with properly worded structure function claims rather than unacceptable disease drug claims. Okay, so I just love that because it kind of summarizes my thoughts on it. Like, Plexus is amazing. We want to share it. We need to share it. People need this in their lives. Let's do it the appropriate way. Okay, any questions so far? I'm going to go into the disclaimer thing and how you can use that. But before I go on, any questions? Is this making sense? Yeah, okay.
Can I just add something real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, because I was just thinking, when you were mentioning the compliance team and how they email, they'll email you and let you know. So just reassuring you guys all that that is their job, is to catch these things to help keep us safe too, and to keep them safe. So like Brittany said, if you get an email or you have gotten an email, which I think I have gotten one when I first started, it's just been a couple, but it's okay. I'm still here. Like, don't worry about it. Like I said, it's their job to keep us safe. So just keep sharing.
Yes, thank you. Yep, it's not the end of the world for sure. If you get an email, don't freak out. It's all good. I was going to say something else. Oh, about the FDA and FTC. So the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, and the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission, I think. People are like, why are they involved? Our products aren't regulated by the FDA, which is true, but their job is to protect consumers. So they look for companies that, or ambassadors of companies that are making misleading claims, and they say, oh, the consumers are in danger. So that's kind of where that comes in and why they step into like the supplement world and all that, and they'll send warning letters to companies. So if you guys listen to that Bob Heilig podcast that I sent out, there were 10 companies that got warning letters from the FTC saying, your ambassadors are making false claims, and here's like lists and screenshots and whatever of all the false claims that are being made. And some of them were like scary. Plexus was not one of the 10 companies. So that's good. We're doing a good job. But it all kind of brought to light how important it is for us to word things the right way. So our supplements are not regulated by the FDA. Supplements just do not fall into the FDA's jurisdiction. It's just not something that they regulate. And if people give you a hard time about that, just because something's regulated by the FDA does not mean that it's healthy. High fructose corn syrup is approved by the FDA. Cigarettes are approved by the FDA, right? It doesn't mean that like that's a stamp of like, oh, it's a healthy thing. So supplements not being FDA regulated, it's just not under their realm of things that they regulate. They do food and they do drugs, and our supplements are neither food nor drugs, with the exception of the lean shakes. So let me go into the disclaimers a bit. So if you guys saw my post today, I think most, if not all of us, are friends on social media. I did a little post about how I no longer have to work a 9-to-5 job. This is my first summer home with the kids. On the bottom, I gave it a little space, and then I put our income disclaimer. So there is a FDA disclaimer and there's an income disclaimer. The income disclaimer, and these are long, so I don't expect you to write it down, but it's in that virtual resource toolkit I told you about. It says Plexus makes no guarantees of income or profit you may earn as an ambassador. Your success depends on your effort, commitment, skill, and leadership abilities, and how effectively you exercise those qualities. So if you're making a income claim, like I went Emerald this month and you know, I'm going to make this much money a year, you should include an income disclaimer. Okay, like if you're making any kind of income claim, we should include a disclaimer. If we're making a product claim, like we go, you know, on the label of Slim and it says it supports healthy glucose metabolism, so we share that on Facebook, you want to include that little disclaimer that says this statement has not been evaluated by the FDA. Plexus is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. I know it feels weird to include that on your post, but if you're making a really strong claim, you want to include that because it kind of covers you and covers the company. Okay, so those are the two disclaimers. I save them in my phone, and when I have a post where I need to put that little disclaimer, I throw it on. It really doesn't disrupt the traffic on your post or who sees it or anything like that. Most people just kind of glaze over the disclaimer part, and they understand that you're promoting, so you need to have that disclaimer. Okay, those again are available to you. There's also a compliance quick tips guide. I've got links to all this stuff, so if you want to read more about this, please just shoot me a message and I will send you all these links. I have them saved. Let me see what that question was real quick. Most of our supplements are approved by Health Canada. Yep. Ashley, you can interrupt with a question. Just unmute yourself.
Hey, okay, you were on a spiel. I didn't want to interrupt you because it's all good information. I just didn't want to miss anything. So let's just say I want to use like plantar fasciitis. So let's just say I want to make a post about how it's helped my situation with plantar fasciitis. I kind of can't really mention that on a public post. I get that. What about when I get them in a private inbox message? Is that a different ball game because it's not public posted, or how does that work?
Yeah, different ball game. So everything I'm talking about is for like public social media. So if you're having a one-on-one chat with someone and you're sharing your story, you can say, you know, it has really helped with my plantar fasciitis. You can't say like, oh, it'll cure your plantar fasciitis, but you can share your testimony and your story. And I actually ran that question by one of our business coaches at Plexus, and she said yes, in one-on-one chats or in like small group events. It's a little bit different. It's when you're throwing things out there to the whole world that we really, really have to be careful.
Yep, that makes sense. Thank you so much.
Okay, cool. Okay. And just kind of in general, 2 thoughts on your mindset and your leadership with this stuff. So you want to mind your mindset around these kind of things, because this stuff can like derail you. If it like makes you really upset, you're like, I can't post anything. Just be aware of what your mindset is. So if there's like a scarcity mindset and an abundance mindset, and we always want to be in that abundance mindset. A scarcity mindset would say, this is awful. There's nothing I can post. I'm not gonna be able to sell anything. I give up, right? Like that's a scarcity mindset. And that happens, like that's a natural thought that happens like in a lot of our brains, but we can take that thought captive and we can have an abundance mindset, which would be something like, okay, this is helpful. This is going to grow me as a professional. There's still so much I can share while being compliant. Plexus has given me the tools that I need to do it, right? So just mind your mindset, make sure that you are thinking positively about it and don't let little things like this derail you. It's just part of us doing business like we should. And guys, these have always been the rules. We've just done a really bad job at keeping them. And I'm talking about myself and our team at large. And we just never like really paid attention. But this whole coronavirus and everything has brought it to light. So this has always been the case. Now we're just doing a better job and being more professional. And the other thought is your leadership. If you have a team that's watching you, just act like a leader, keep it positive for your team, share the resources with your team, and just model good behavior, right? Like if we are encouraging other people to be compliant, let's make sure that we are being compliant too and doing a good job with that. Okay, I'm gonna go to the chat and answer these questions. Let me see. If someone wants to know more about the scientific research on the products, what would you recommend to them? So if you go on, oh, Coda, shh. If you go on the website, hold on, puppy. If you go on the website and go to a specific product, and kind of scroll down under the label and nutrition information, Plexus will link studies, studies that they have done or studies that show like a certain ingredient is beneficial. So almost every product has those. So you can point people in that direction. There are some really like more sciencey videos too about the products, especially Triplex, collagen, and the videos can be found on the Plexus YouTube channel. So hopefully that helps. Any other questions? That was kind of all that I had to share, so we can open it up for conversation.
Okay, so back to the plantar fasciitis, because I wanted to do a post on this. Stating like I was going to take a picture of my feet, which some may think that's gross, but in flip-flops, because to wear those, I mean, I was always in pain. I did it anyways, but like the pain was real. So I was going to say that like, not, you know, this is not a normal for me. Like normally I would be in pain wearing these, but the comfort is now there thanks to my supplements. But I was going to say like, hashtag like no more or plantar fasciitis gone or something like that. So how would you word it?
So I think that's a great example of just don't say Plexus, right? So you already kind of went there, which is awesome. Yeah, I would just say, you know, share your story. I think the picture is a great idea because people are like, why are your feet in this picture? And they'll read it. And you can say like, thanks to my supplement routine or anything like that. Just don't list the specific products. And then, yeah, you can come up with a bunch of creative hashtags like goodbye inflammation, gut health for the win, you know, whatever, like just kind of hinting at that it was an inside out kind of repair that you did. And just don't say Plexus because that's a really specific one with a specific disease. You don't want to say Plexus.
Okay.
So plantar fasciitis, very specific. Lyme's disease, very specific. Anything like that, it's like a labeled disease. Just don't say Plexus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I tried to do some research around this so I would have like valuable info to bring you guys. I hope is not too much. And I want this to be like an open conversation that we continue to have because you'll probably like go to create a post and be like, oh my gosh, I don't know. Can I say that? So kick it to me or your sponsor or whoever. Like if you're in a group chat with us, let's kick it around. And if I can help you tweak it a little bit, I certainly will do that. And again, I'm not like the authority on compliance, but from what I know, I am certainly willing to help everyone on our team. We want to keep you, you know, posting, sharing on social media because you do have a big audience there and the ability to reach a lot of people. Just a reminder, our virtual convention is next week. I hope you guys are registered because it's going to be awesome. Yay. Shan, what do you got?
I was just going to ask, I assume it's the same like with our stories too, right?
Yeah.
Like,
so stories and posts, because they can be seen by anybody. That's where we really want to be careful. Yeah. If it's a personal message or a smaller private group, then we have a little more flexibility. Yeah.
So basically, as long as we're not mentioning the word Plexus, we can still say inflammation. We can still say, you know, other things, as long as it's just not those two things in the same post.
Right. Yep. Yeah, exactly. Because if someone from the FDA or FTC was looking at it, they wouldn't know what you were talking about as far as what products. So just make sure that you also don't say specific product names like X Factor Plus, Triplex, because those are clearly linked to Plexus. But I mean, your audience probably knows, I'm sorry that I'm like in the pitch black now, I look so creepy. Your audience probably knows that you're talking about Plexus anyway. And we can always, if there's interest, you can always say, I'm going to direct message you, right? And then you can give them the details of what you're taking and, you know, all that.
I did want to just say about,
Go ahead, Amber.
I did just want to say about, like, if people bring up the FDA, like Brittany said, the FDA doesn't regulate any supplements, but what's awesome, and the FDA also is just, you know, they aren't very picky in what they allow into the US. Like there's a lot of crap in our allowed in makeup and food and all of that. So if someone brings up the FDA, you can say, well, they don't regulate supplements here in America, but over in Canada, our supplements are actually Health Canada approved, and they are much more selective on the ingredients that they allow in their products. And so that might be able to give someone, put someone at ease. I know my nurse friend who is from Canada was very surprised that our supplements went through that process of getting the approval in Health Canada. It's a huge deal. So it might be something worth mentioning.
That's great. Thanks, Amber.
That's it.
Perfect. Okay, well, if there's not any other questions, I'll let you guys go. I was just going to say, take notes during the virtual convention, because the call that we do after that, we are going to share thoughts and share notes and all the exciting things that we learned. So make sure you're taking notes. And thank you guys so much for hopping on tonight.
Thank you, everybody.